Hey y'all, so today I'm going to be doing the book addiction tag, which I saw Murphy Napier do, and you know how much I love her. I talk about her all the time. She's one of my favorites. So I thought I would give it a shot too and have some fun. So, first question is, what is the longest amount of time you can comfortably go without picking a book? Honestly, I get antsy and if I go a day without reading. Because I read in so many different formats, it usually doesn't even last that long because if I'm too tired to read with my eyes on a physical book or an e-reader, um, I can listen to an audiobook while I fall asleep. So longest I can go is probably a couple days. Longest I feel comfortable going is a day, because then I start to get antsy and I don't feel like myself when I'm not reading. And especially in a year like this year, reading is an escape for me, and so I always have to be reading. So a day, I'd say, for number one. Number two, how many books do you carry on your person, physical or device, at any one time? I usually always have one physical book and then at least one audiobook on my phone. But I also have like the Kindle Reader app on my phone, so I don't even know how many books I have in that gazillion. Maybe not gazillion, but at least a couple dozen probably throughout history of reading on Kindle. So yeah, that one physical book, many digital books. Um, do you keep every book you buy receipt, or are you happy to pass them on to make space for more? So at one point I kept every book I ever got. But then when we moved to our new place, it was much smaller than the old apartment, and so I ended up getting rid of literally boxes and boxes of books. I think overall I donated at least 10 books to our local Goodwill store, which is really helpful for people that can't buy books from stores that you would normally buy from. A lot of the books were in pretty good shape, but probably wouldn't be picked up by the library or the used bookstore, so I just went and donated them all there. So unless it's a book that I know I'll read again, I put it into, if it's a book I know I'll read again, I put it into my personal shelf. If it's a book that I feel like I can get rid of, or I can just pick up another copy, I'll put it on my bookstore shelf. So one thing I don't think I've mentioned yet is I have this online used bookstore going on. It's called the Literary Apothecary, and I'll link it in the description below, where I have all of my bibliotherapy stuff, different resources, and all the books and lists and whatnot. But I also have, different used books that I have that I've gotten from other people, other stores, whatnot. So a lot of my books go, technically I keep them, but they're bookstore books, which is most of the shelves in my apartment. So kind of a little bit of both for that question, number three. Number four, how long would you spend in a bookshop on a standard visit? So I have to give myself rules when I go to a bookshop. I go with a specific list of books that I'm looking for, and sometimes I get all the books, sometimes I get one book, sometimes I don't even get any of the books on the list because I can't find them. But using that list reduces the amount of money I spend because I'm not rich at all. I'd love to spend everything I have on books, but I can't do that because bills happen. But then it also reduces the amount of time I actually spend in a bookstore. So usually trying to find the books that I want is about 20 to 30 minute browse, search in a bookshop. It also depends on if I'm familiar with that bookshop or not. If I go to a new bookshop, it'll take me longer because I'm browsing the shop, trying to get a vibe of what the shop is about and trying to find the books that I need. But if it's a bookstore that I'm familiar with, then I can usually just go straight to the section where I know the book will be. And if they have it, it's there. If they don't, then I look for a different book. Number five, how much time per day do you actually spend reading? I read all the time, especially now that I'm working from home because of COVID-19. I am reading all the time, so probably a good 8 9-10 hours a day. If it's not a really busy day, I'm sitting here reading while I'm waiting for emails and phone calls to come in for work, and then I read after that, and then I read before bed. So most of my day is spent reading, which is how I can get through so many different books. Question 6. Where does the task picking up a book appear on your daily to-do list? Everywhere, I think. I don't really understand this question very much. I don't really have it as a to-do list, which I love to-do lists, but I don't really have picking up a book or reading on my to-do list because I just do it all the time. So I don't have to remind myself to read. Question 7. How many books do you reckon you own in total, including ebooks? Including ebooks, it's endless. I don't even know how many ebooks I own. Physical books, before I got rid of all of those books when we moved, I had between 400 and 500 books. Now it's probably about half of that, maybe. So maybe around 200 physical books. But including ebooks, I really have no idea. 300, 400 maybe. And I'm assuming that also includes audiobooks, so I'd say probably 300, 400. A complete guess. I have no idea. Question 8. Approximately how often do you bring up books in conversations? Like, all the time. People are sick of hearing me talk about books, which is why if you watch my newbie booktube tag, I created this channel because people are sick of hearing me talk about it, but I don't care because books are my passion, and other people talk about their passions without caring if anyone cares about it or wants to hear about it, so I do it too. What is the biggest book count you have finished reading? Oh, that is a good question. I have no idea. I'd have to look that up. Maybe I'll look it up and add in a video later. My guess is like one of the Outlander books because those are ginormous. But I'll come back to that because I have no idea. I'd have to look at my Goodreads page count. Hey, I'll just checking back in, and I scoured my Goodreads, and it turns out that I was right. The longest book I've read is one of the Outlander books. It's actually book 5, The Fiery Cross, and that has, according to Goodreads, 1,443 pages, which is so long, but it didn't feel long because I love Jamie and Claire and all of the amazing characters that Diana Gabaldon creates and writes, and so it was fantastic. I recommend the Outlander series to anyone who loves historical fiction and romance and Scotland and all that good stuff, and I'll be doing more videos about that later, but that is the longest book that I've ever read. And the longest book I've read this year is actually a book that I'm currently reading, which you've heard me talk about before, and that is The Bleak House by Charles Darwin, and that has, in this copy, 830 pages, which is super long, and they're really skinny pages. They're like the thin Bible type pages, but I'm really enjoying it so far, so check out my reading vlog for more updates and look for a future video on The Bleak House coming soon. Okay, see y'all next time. Back to the original video. Number 10, is there a book you had to get your hands on against all odds? Search bookstore, online digging, stalked author. No. Usually I come to books after they're already popular and I just read, like I don't have a specific reading procedure or anything. I just pick up whatever book is next on my shelf. And so most of the time the books are really easy to get when I'm trying to get them because it's years or at least 1 year after they've come out, and so there's no like out of stock type and I don't have like a particular, I like to support local bookstores, but I don't have a particular like I have to buy books from this store or I can't buy books from Amazon or Barnes & Noble. If I can find a book anywhere, I'll get it. So I haven't really gone through to weird lengths to get a book because I'm usually coming to books after they're popular, so I don't really have a problem getting them. Number 11, is there a book you struggled to finish because you refused to DNF? Like, so many books. I am one of those weird people that can't DNF a book, not because I don't. People think it's like forcing yourself to read a book, but I don't DNF many books because I know my brain, if I don't finish a book, even if I didn't like the book, my brain will continue thinking about the book until I finish it, and it'll drive me crazy. And so I think there's like 2 books that I have DNF'd so far. There was 3, and then I listened to the audiobook of Ulysses, so I finally finished that. And I highly recommend listening to audiobook versus the physical copy if you have a hard time reading Ulysses, which many people have DNF'd it. The audiobook is so much better. But I think it's the We Were Soldiers and The Lovely Bones are the 2 books that I've DNF'd so far. And I just couldn't do either of those. I started reading them and it was too much for me to handle at that time. And so there's a lot of books that I don't necessarily like, but I plow through because I can't DNF books, and because I always find something to take away from a book. My MFA thesis advisor, Kim Barnes, had said that I was a generous reader because I always find something that I enjoy in books, whether it's one sentence, one phrase, which is why I write down reading quotes from books that I'm reading, or it's through, just how the story ends up. I always find something that I like when reading a book, so I don't DNF books. Almost never. Question 12. What are 3 or some of your main book goals for 2020 or 2021 if you started planning? I haven't started planning 2021. I'm just trying to get through 2020 right now. And one of the goals that I do every year for myself is to read at least 100 books every year. And I think this is the first year, 2020, that I'm finally going to be able to reach that goal. I'm at like 90 finished books right now, I think. And so because I've added audiobooks and I'm reading from home, working from home, I've been able to get close to that goal. And since it's only September, I will definitely be able to reach that goal by the end of the year. And I'm so excited. And there will be a special video when I do hit that goal. So look forward to that. But other than that, I don't have very many specific reading goals because I just read whatever's next. I don't have specific reasons for reading books usually, unless it's my bibliotherapy books. So I guess maybe that would be another goal for next year, is to get through all of the bibliotherapy books that I own, and the list in the novel here, which is where I learned of bibliotherapy, is never ending. So I won't say get through all of those books, but maybe the books that I own. Number 13, have you ever had the privilege of converting someone into a reader by inspiration or incessant nagging? I hope so. I really hope that my continuous talking about reading has given people inspiration to start to become a reader. I know Howard, my boyfriend, is a reader, but I've inspired his reading choices, I think, because he talks about things that he's writing and working on, and I'm like, oh, that reminds me of this book, you need to read this book. That reminds me of this book, you need to read this book. And so I have inspired his reading choices. I think he's always been a reader, not like us, but a reader. He loves books too. But I think I've inspired his reading choices. But I hope I've inspired many people to become readers, because otherwise, why am I, besides just loving books and talking about books, why am I talking about books? Describe what books mean to you in 5 words. 5 words, okay. So escape, release, joy, love, comfort. Those are my 5 words. I don't know if that's what it means, but those are my 5 words. Yeah, so that's my book addiction tag. Let me know what your answers to the questions are. Put the questions down below. And I look forward to the discussion about more books. See y'all next time.